forward will be on the replay. Just be aware of that. But it's going to take a couple of minutes for people to come in. Okay. So you know Kate Lumley. I'm not going to hold that against you.
Well, you actually introduced me to her, believe it or not. You tagged her in my post, and then we started connecting, and then, or that's what she said, at least, that you tagged her in the post.
I wonder what
I made a post about my Dr. Seuss poetry book.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Because of,
knew that she was into Dr. Seuss. So.
Yeah, into her. She you know, I mean, I have this. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because we've had over 4,000 shows, and people, you know, have certain guides come in.
Yeah.
And I've heard some pretty cool ones over the years, but that's one of the coolest ones, Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
She calls him Ted.
Yeah.
So that must have been a little bit of a eye opener for you to run into somebody who was carrying those frequencies. Do you carry them as well?
Well, I feel that I tap into this section of the universe where everything rhymes. And I feel like a lot of people can tap into the same thing, you included. It's like once you tap into the rhyming language, then you're just sort of channeling and you're able to find which words fit together like a puzzle. And I feel that Dr. Seuss was a master at that and helped other people tune into that same rhyming language.
Yeah. It's like there's a pattern in it. You know, when I first woke up, I had my own guides, and one of the guides was the prophet Isaiah. And one of the things that he taught me, which speaks to all of our intel, because how do you know these things, right? I mean, something told us, we told ourselves or whatever, but he you know, because I probably like you already had like a knack for writing over my lifetime.
Yeah.
And then he said, look up this word, chiasmus. I'm thinking, what? It's like early in my wake up too. I'm like, you know, you get something, you go look it up on the internet, and there it was.
Yeah.
And it was the semantical and geomantical, you know, phrasing and arrangement of words.
Interesting.
You know, that carry that in the structure that itself carry, you know, like unwritten coding, the space between the letters and the words. Yeah, very cool. Yeah. So yeah, we got Kevin May in the house. We know he's got a little bit of a Dr. Seuss frequency or something in that morphogenetic field, right?
Yeah.
And you're friends with Kate Lumley, and that's all right. I love Kate and Wanda. Yeah, so, you know, I don't know if you watch the show much, but it's just a conversation. You're welcome to ask questions as well. We like to think of it as a conscious conversation, focusing on real-time intel, real-time experiences, gifts, abilities, skills, stories. But, you know, the famous question here on Soul Speaks 5D is, did you have a wake-up experience, or have you always been this weird?
That's a great question. Well, I grew up as a fairly weird kid. My dad taught me how to unicycle when I was 8 years old. So that kind of set me apart from the average kid. And I started doing sort of circus type things, juggling, unicycling, balancing on a walking globe like bears in the circus. And I actually began to teach my friends how to ride unicycles and how to juggle as well as a kid. And me and my dad would always wear these bright tie-dyed shirts and do these talent shows when I was in elementary school. So everyone knew me as the kid who could ride the unicycle and juggle. And
yeah,
I think my parents were very encouraging. So I didn't really see it as a bad thing that I had these sort of odd talents. But I can't say that I was really into very much metaphysical stuff until I had an awakening when I was 17 years old. And it's interesting, when I was a little kid doing the talent shows, my dad gave us all nicknames. So he was Flying Brian, the Unicycle Man. My sister was Marvelous Melissa. and my nickname that he gave me was Catalytic Kevin. And I didn't even know what that word really meant, but as I've grown older, I feel like it was kind of a prophetic name, because one of my superpowers throughout my life has been being a catalyst for other people's awakening and just kind of helping to inspire them and support them on their journey. So Catalytic Kevin still sticks with me from my little unicycling days. And then when I was 17, I was struggling with chronic pain and was having like this terrible pain in my wrists, and went to all these doctors. They thought maybe it was, some sort of nerve damage. They gave me wrist braces, and it kind of put me into a depression because I played a lot of sports growing up. And eventually I went to this doctor that thought maybe it was sort of like a mind-body disorder of some kind, where the mind is somehow causing pain, even though there's no physical damage. And so I went to this rehab center and lived there for 3 weeks doing physical therapy. And I also got introduced to meditation in there. So the psychologist put me through one of those guided meditations where you relax each muscle in the body. And after about 20 minutes of doing that, my whole body felt like it was made of jello. And it was the most relaxed I'd ever been in my whole life. And I was pretty shocked at how I could change my state of experience that profoundly in 20 minutes. And so after these 3 weeks of doing this physical therapy and these meditations with psychologists, my chronic pain basically disappeared. And I was pretty shocked. And it felt like I had this new appreciation for life. And it kind of sparked this spiritual awakening. So I just began, this was around 2008 when YouTube was just starting to get rolling. So I started just watching every documentary I could on consciousness, on, healing, on psychedelics, anything related to outside the box. I wanted to learn about it. And that really put me on this quest of knowledge, which I've been on for about 15 years now.
So what did you kind of gravitate to? Because I think a lot of us can relate to that period, where you do a lot of research, you involve yourself in, books, courses, whatever the case is. What did you gravitate to, and how did that all evolve? Did you stay with what kind of brought you to the party, or did you kind of like widen your tool belt?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say that I tried my best to follow my intuition and kind of follow the synchronicities of where I was guided. I love to gain experiences. I don't just want to read about something. So here in Pittsburgh, I started going to like different temples. Like I went to all these different Buddhist temples and tried meditating in their fashion. I connected with different Native Americans and did sweat lodge ceremonies. And that was really eye-opening and, healing for my soul. And I just kind of wanted to try the whole buffet of spirituality. And so if I found something that seemed interesting that I'd never tried before, I would do my best to dive into it. And in 2010, I rode my bicycle across America, visiting different sustainable communities. I was really passionate about helping to live more harmoniously on the earth. And so we visited these farms doing what's called permaculture, which is a really cool form of gardening in harmony with nature. And for 6 months, we bicycled across America visiting these farms. So that really opened my eyes.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
How far did you get? Where did you start and where did you end up?
We started in Delaware on the East Coast, and we went straight through the middle of the US all the way to the West Coast. We went through Yellowstone and made it over to Port. We saw the Pacific Ocean in Oregon, and then we biked down the coastline. And our goal was to make it to San Francisco, and we were 150 miles north of San Francisco. We had made it over 4,000 miles, and out of nowhere, I got hit by a car while I was bicycling. The car was going about 55 miles an hour, and we were doing a pretty, DIY low budget bicycle tour. So we put these kitty litter buckets to the back of our bikes to hold all our gear, those big yellow tidy cat buckets.
Yeah.
So we figured out how to strap those to the back of our bicycles. And so this car was we were biking down the coastal highway, and this car swerved into the shoulder and hit my back left kitty litter bucket. The bucket exploded and I fell off my bike to the side. My bike took most of the impact and went about 50 feet down the highway. So that would have been me. But the joke is that the kitty litter bucket literally saved my life.
Literally. Litter.
Exactly.
L-I-N-G.
And
wow, that's fascinating. So did you get hurt at all?
Well, it was pretty miraculous. I had a full-blown near-death experience when this happened, and I hit the ground and I instantly thought, holy shit, this is the end of my life. Like, I didn't expect to die this young, but this is what's happening. And I just surrendered, and I melted into this ocean of peaceful white light. And I just kind of laid there for probably about a minute. And then I sort of shifted and opened my eyes, and I looked down at my feet and I could still wiggle my toes. So I was already into meditation at this point. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to panic. I'm just going to send good energy throughout my body. And I think that, if we want to get metaphysical, they talk about shifting timelines. I think that because I was in the meditation, I was able to choose a timeline of the least injured timeline, because I just stayed relaxed and I didn't panic. Everyone else that came over to me, I was just like, don't freak out, just send me good energy. Meanwhile, my legs were torn up and blood was coming out of my knees and stuff. But I was just really chill because I had just been to like this most peaceful ocean of white light. And so like the lady who hit me came running over, and there's this picture of her like freaking out in tears, and I'm like smiling on the ground with my helmet on. And by the time the paramedics came, I was just, cracking jokes. And they took me to the hospital in an ambulance. And when I got there, I demanded that they let me meditate for 30 minutes before they do surgery or anything. I was like, I'm going to heal myself. And it turned out I got scanned and stuff. I didn't have any broken bones, miraculously, and they just had to stitch up my knee. And when I was in the hospital, after I got stitched up, my friends came in there and they were doing Reiki healing over me. And that's when the emotion finally came out. And I was like, holy shit, I just almost died. And I started crying. And this, I believe, was my first like official Kundalini awakening experience, because my whole body started vibrating. And then it started vibrating so strong that it just went like completely rigor mortis. Like I couldn't move a muscle in my body. And my consciousness basically felt like it blasted out to outer space. And I was looking down at the earth, and I just felt total compassion and understanding for every single person on earth. And the message that I was getting was that everyone, as messed up as they might seem, they're just the beneficiaries of past trauma and hurt. And the only way that we can actually heal is to raise our consciousness and snap out of that cycle of hurt people.
Yeah.
And so I just felt like total compassion and understanding for everyone on earth. And that experience really has stuck with me. And so eventually my body, stopped vibrating so much after about 10 minutes, and I kind of came back to my normal state. But after that experience, I started feeling that Kundalini energy moving through my system. And it's really been with me for the last 13 years, and it's taken me on all kinds of magical mystery rides and whatnot.
And you're doing the good work.
Thank you.
Do the good work, that sign says back there.
Oh yeah, right there. That's my friend's artwork. He's a great Pittsburgh artist. So
Okay, so you're one of the things I like doing. I like to research a couple hours a day, and now and then I'll watch a few. I think there's one channel on YouTube called NDE, but near death experiences. Many people have had them, and what I wanted to ask you revolves around. I don't know if you ever heard of walk-ins, or I guess any seminal moment in our incarnation.
Yeah.
But this is a few days ago. A lot of information's been coming in as people have been reporting as we got into 2023. And I never knew this about myself, but I had an ND at 37 on a plane, and I won't go into the whole story, but it was this whole thing where I got all this information that as time went on, those people's names I was given were in my life and all that. But last week, I was shown that was a choice point, and that was an exit. What's what they told me anyway. One of 3 exit points. Now, the reason I'm bringing it up, I wanted to ask you because I've seen people refer to this same thing in some of these NDE videos, and that is that they had a choice at that time. Maybe they weren't conscious of it at the time. Most of them report, I don't want to go back. That's what I said. I don't want to go back. Why do I want to go back? Mm-hmm. But later on, in retrospect, they realized that they were given, I guess, in a sense, a new lease on life. Did you go through anything like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I have very much pondered this sort of concept because I love to philosophize on how the universe works and how, these higher levels of reality operate. And I can't say that I have a conclusive understanding of it, but I definitely like to entertain certain possibilities. And I've technically actually had 3 near-death experiences. The most recent was actually by far the most intense, where it felt like I was stuck in purgatory for a period of time, which was and like these hell realms, which is a whole nother story.
Now, this was when?
This was
with the other one. The other one. Okay.
This is a different one. So this was in 2018.
Okay. So this was like, okay, all right.
5 years ago. And that one really threw me for a loop. Basically, a long story short, I have type 1 diabetes, and for 3 years, I was basically keeping my health pretty good without even needing insulin, which is like unheard of for type 1 people. But eventually I swayed from my super strict diet and I got pretty unhealthy with it. And so eventually I went on a downhill slope. I was in denial that I needed insulin, which is what every other type 1 diabetic on earth requires. And so eventually I went into a diabetic coma, and a friend found me pretty much dead on the floor, and paramedics had to bring me back. So they rushed me to the ICU. I was in the ICU, like the doctors were pretty much shocked that I was still alive. And so I'm pretty sure they gave me some sort of thing like ketamine as a sedative, but it's also one of the most powerful psychedelics.
Yeah.
And so I had what's called ICU delirium, where you're having like these crazy hallucinations while in the ICU, which is actually insanely common. Usually about 50% of people in the ICU report having hallucinations. And I have a whole video I made about it, but it was an insane experience. It felt like I was stuck in these hell realms for like 10 lifetimes. Wow. I was just eternally stuck in this horrible suffering. And it made me realize like all these ancient depictions of what hell is and these things. It's like there's some weird parallel dimension or somehow in the universe, just this awful place that you can somehow get to. And I don't understand how it is, but I definitely don't want to go back there. But with all that said, it did feel like this complete rebirth. Like it felt like perhaps somehow I did die and then I just jumped right back into the same lifetime or something along those lines. but when I came back to my regular consciousness, it did feel like I got given a second chance. And I know a lot of people are kind of tired of Earth and they're like, I want to graduate to the next level, but I honestly kind of like it. I do like it here. I think this is actually one of the top places
Oh,
that
yeah.
people all over the universe, like, I want to come to Earth.
That's right.
To experience all the ups and downs and all that stuff. So I imagine if it was just me, how I am right now, I'd be like, fuck it, let's go back. Let's do another round.
That's how I am.
Yeah.
That's how I am. In fact, that this whole thing, that this information that came in last week, it said you're given 3 exit points, and your first exit point was at 30, that one I was telling you about. And the choice that I understood through the transmission was that I was given a choice, and that I chose to come back to take a deep dive. Right.
Yeah.
So I took like a 12-year deep dive. Then the second choice point comes up, and I make it through the deep dive. I'm beginning my awakening in 2011. I go on the street by my own choice for a couple of years, and I'm working through this constant communion, whatever.
Yeah.
But I was shown last week, when they showed me the other thing, that there was another one at some point during that 10-year period in my 50s. I'm 61 now.
Yeah.
And that the third, so that I have, I guess, made it to the third one, the last one. But the reason I brought that up is because I thought it was interesting. The first one I chose, and I knew because it resonated, that I chose to go in a deep dive. Right. Yeah. And then really the second one was a deep dive, coming back from the streets, building Soulogy up, and, finding my partner, and just all this whole saga kind of thing, like your life has probably been. But I'm with you.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about after this one, but I know after all the other ones, I'm usually the first one down the chute. Let's go.
Yeah.
It's the happening place. You gotta admit that.
Yeah.
So now a lot of people that come on the show that are in this conscious living lifestyle are starting to incorporate purpose or purposes that came through in their personal guidance, maybe as a healer or some other, as an artist or some other function. Or is that kind of how it's going for you? Because I know that you've got a pretty big presence on social media. I mean, and I didn't really get a chance to go in there and dig a lot, but it seems like you're putting it out there. Is that part of what your purpose is, and are you incorporating that into your abundance streams?
Absolutely. Yeah. So as I mentioned before, I had my big awakening in 2008, and it's just been similar to you. I feel like we have these initiations that we go through, and they kind of overlap, and they all are on sort of this spiral evolution. And so as I've been on this journey, I've been collecting all sorts of different tools and practices that have helped me on my journey. And so I always made YouTube videos. I've been making YouTube videos since 2010. I don't do it super consistently, but I like to share whenever I feel inspired. And so eventually I did a lot of plant medicine ceremonies, different things like ayahuasca and sacred mushrooms and things like that. And those definitely taught me a lot of profound lessons. And so in 2016, I wrote this book right here, which is called Unlocking Our Superpowers. And this is a pretty big sort of encyclopedia of a lot of the different tools and practices that have helped me on my path. And so I do personal development coaching, working with people one-on-one and in groups and workshops at festivals and things like that, to help people to implement these different tools and practices, which are generally focused around holistic living and having, a healthy mind, body, and spirit. Because what I've learned from my near-death experiences and a lot of different health challenges is, if you don't have a relatively healthy body, then nothing else matters that much for the most part.
Yeah.
And so different
Yes.
different strategies for, having a strong morning practice, connecting with nature, doing breath work, doing exercise, things like that are things that I love to share with people, and to really encourage people to create a compelling future for themselves and a compelling future for humanity.
Mm.
Like, I've been blessed to go to these different festivals and gatherings and see what is possible for humanity when we actually do come together. And Kate was mentioning that you do Soulogy gatherings, which sound amazing and probably similar, like a blueprint for a new earth. And I've been able to experience these blueprints in all different towns around the country. Obviously, it's not catching on fully yet, but part of my big mission is to give people the tools to be most ready for contributing to that. And it's hard to really contribute if you're not feeling strong and healthy on a physical level.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think to your point too, like, I mean, there's a lot of narratives over the last 10 years. I mean, I think it's significant that the 21st December 2022 was the 10-year mark. We
Yeah.
seem to be the whole time since 2012 or thereabouts, there's been a subtle, consistent, deliberate expansion of the consciousness. We know that now that we've shared and come together more and more and more, it seems like we're in a whole different space right now. And it seems like that the crux of that, like a lot of people are saying, man, it's here now. Like, it's not coming, it's here.
Yeah.
A lot of people talking about the body communicating in ways it never has before, voices getting louder. But yeah, going back to what you said, it's like, if we are in the home stretch, if we are in the, or newly, landed and just not as conscious of it as we will be, that whole mind, body, spirit is taken on a newer meaning, just like everything else, with the emphasis being on the body.
Yeah.
A lot of people shifting diets, just a lot of things happening. To me, the first real, I don't want to say hard evidence, but when people talk about the transformation of the carbon base to the crystalline,
Yeah.
like, I think we're seeing it. I think we're actually seeing it. It's just coming in little bitty microdoses, but
Yeah.
So I think that's really, really going to be coming online this year, is going to be the body, without the, I don't want to say fanaticism, but, without the extremities of, because, what may be good for you isn't good for me. I'm trying to figure my diet out right now.
Yeah.
And I've gone from eating, 3 healthy meals and a couple snacks a day and maybe consuming some other things I shouldn't be, to I might eat once a day. I was told to fast. I fasted for 3.5 days, 2 of the last 3 weeks. So there's this whole thing going on. I'm like, oh, am I supposed to be a vegan or vegetarian? I mean, I'm not eating cheese. I mean, I'm not eating any meat right now. But I don't know what the answer is. But the point being that I think our personal GPS, the one that you've so well represented, and so many of the people that come on, that's got us all these crazy people meeting together at this place. But I think the important thing is that the body, or the recognition or acknowledgement amongst each other, that our bodies got to have all the information. And again, yours makeup might be different than mine. You might be from, 6 multiverses away originally, and I came from the other 6, and we came in like that. And
Totally.
you know what I mean?
No, I think that's a really important point, because some people get super dogmatic and they think that their way is the only way. And I have compassion for them, because it's like, when you're over here, doing, say, McDonald's every day, and then you figure out that eating only celery, it makes you feel 10 times better. Some people come to the conclusion that, oh, only celery is the answer for everyone, because if you feel so much better, you think that it couldn't possibly not work for everyone else. But it's very important to realize we all are unique. And there's a chapter in my book where I go into holistic diet, and a lot of it is not, it's not about projecting a certain protocol, but it's about asking the right questions, like really tracking, okay, if I drink this, beverage, how does it make me feel for the next 24 hours? Do I notice a crash? Do I notice this? And really just becoming more in tune with our bodies, because, a revelation that I had, and I feel like a lot of people go on this similar thing. It's like, we first have the realization that there's consciousness beyond our bodies. So we're not, there's this whole like Eckhart Tolle type of vibe of like, oh, I'm not the body, I'm the consciousness that observes. But to me, the actual truth is that we're all of it. We're the consciousness, we are the body, we are the mind, we're this multi-dimensional vehicle. And so if God is truly in everything, if spirit is truly in everything, then that includes the body. So we can't be on this trip of like, oh, I'm beyond the body, I can just let myself waste away. I've actually been stuck in that trap before, and it's kind of miserable, because if your body is depleted of certain minerals and you're not feeling that vitality, to me, you're missing out on this beautiful earth playground that we have. So to me, it's like, why not have it all? Why not have the awareness that we are beyond our body, but also, be having fun in the physical realm at the same time?
Yeah. Well, and I think it's very common that all that stuff out there that I kind of fall in line with you, because I think the emphasis is coming back to the body. Like it's the last part to come online. Like the human aspect is the last part, but it's made up of many different things, the emotional, the mental, but the body itself is the universe, right?
Yeah.
And but yeah, I think a lot of people, all of us probably here can relate to, I'm not in my body,
Yeah.
I mean, we get the downloads, we get the channels, some people light language, some people this, that, whatever. That's kind of the embodiment, or the physical demonstration or expression of what we're tapping into that you were talking about.
Yeah.
But because of the grind, I guess, like you were referring to earlier, we don't want to be in the body. But over the last couple, 2-3 years, I think, with the onset of the COVID thing, where people really spend a lot of time with themselves with the lockdowns and stuff, and everything changed so abruptly, schedules and everything. I think the body started to come online, like whatever needed to get done up to that point. And now we're in this space where, I mean, I don't know how it is for other people. I have talked to a few, and it feels the same as what I'm getting, which is you just can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Or go eat this, or 3 weeks ago I started getting a couple of impressions. I had like a meditation. These aspects came in, and they said it's all about the water. It's all about the water. And then my friend hits me up. She goes, I had this vision of you and these entities, and they were telling you something about water. I don't know what it means. And then it just naturally in my head, and I'm not even making the connection. I'm just going, I'm going to fast. Now I've only fasted to this point twice. I think I lasted 2 days one time and 3 the other.
Yeah.
Which was a good experience.
Yeah.
And here I am thinking out of nowhere, I'm going to fast. And then once I started to get into it, not the first round was pretty easy, but this week, and I would like start getting hungry, want a taco. And I was like, remember what they said? They said it was all about the water. So then it dawned on me, oh, that was me trying to tell me start fasting, And with that, of course, and I'm sure you've done a lot of stuff, but you were talking about just the different things that we bring into our body. Being in that fasting state for 3 days, especially the first week, it's still loud when I did it this week, but there was like I don't know, I could see the connectivity and the patterns of my, I guess you would say, my behavior or my patterns. Totally. And how they were all connected. If I have a coffee, I want a cigarette.
Yeah.
but if I'm letting all this, you know what I mean? I'm trying to like not resist anything. I let this go, I let that go, I let this go. And I'm finding that what's happening is that I guess ultimately you just can't do it anymore. And the humans resisting, I don't want to give up coffee.
Mhm.
But if coffee is a connection to everything else, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not really the substance, or, you know, it's really the pattern, the energetic pattern. You
Yeah.
know? So it makes sense to me that we would have I guess you would say, like a realignment with our bodies.
Absolutely.
And yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And going back to what you mentioned about the theories of switching from the carbon to the light body or whatever that is, the way that I explain it on a pretty practical level is that we have been living in essentially the emotional intelligence dark ages for the last 1,000 years. Like, it's just been about mostly survival. There hasn't been like a very healthy emotional intelligence, and we haven't even had enough of a civilized society for people to really get to know their emotional body. And the emotions are very much about the physical body, because if you're disconnected from the physical, then you're not feeling nearly as much. And so the end result is that we've become largely numb and dissociated from our bodies throughout these emotional dark ages. And so, for example, a little kid has all these feelings and all this vibrancy, but as they're slowly taught to sit down and shut up and all these things, they're slowly shutting off these kind of spidey senses of feelings that they have. And it's like, you can watch as a kid grows up in this crazy society. It's like they're becoming, their dimmer switch is going down, down, down for the most part. The average kid, at least this is what happened to me. And so by the time I was a teenager, I was like completely numb. My body had all these different traumas and things, but it was like they were frozen in time. And it wasn't until I did this spiritual journey. And if you think of vibration in the form of water, of what you're talking about, when water is at a slow vibration, it's ice, it's rock solid, and you can't change its form. But when you heat it up and you raise the vibration of water, it literally becomes malleable and it can change forms. Mm-hmm. And so this is what I believe our society and individuals are going through in general. Our vibration is raising, and those frozen parts that were numb are becoming more malleable, and they're coming to awareness one layer at a time. So it's like, for me, this has literally been for the last 15 years. Every single day, it's like a new layer comes online. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't notice I had all this tension right here. Right. And you're thinking to yourself, how did I never notice this? You go get a massage and you find, oh my God, I'm carrying all this tension in my shoulders. But what's happening is like the vibration is slowly raising. All those frozen, ice cold, ice rock hard parts are like slowly becoming more, you're able to feel them again. And because they've been frozen for so long, it's often very painful to when they start to untangle. But there are these paths and these modalities for, they call it unwinding trauma, because it's been wound up. And you're a wordsmith. I had the realization when things are wound up, like coiled too tightly, the word wound is just like the word wound. So it's like you've got this wound where everything's all wound up because you repressed all this anger or whatever. So a big part of my journey is, helping people to express their repressed emotions in a healthy way, one layer at a time. And that raising of the vibration, turning from the ice to the water, is kind of like a very similar metaphor to this carbon, very like locked in genetic code, to this more expansive, multidimensional sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that physical metaphor of, I just picture like, because I don't have a coffee pot, I just use a little stock pot, when I pour the water in. And but like, just to put that little thing on, like I do several times a day, throw a bunch of ice cubes in it, and turn up the heat. Goes from that to water to steam, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's one thing about, we might say, the crystalline / light body, which is
Yeah.
probably a plural number of bodies.
Mhm.
To me, the crystalline, like crystals, right? So but crystals to me aren't like regular rocks. I would say they're like crystalline water to me. And then you have the steam, which to me kind of represents light body, like, more of a, like where you see in dimension, or you see in meditation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really important not to throw any dogma on anyone at all,
Yeah.
but to consider. And I think that's really a big part of our journey, is just considering anything, being open. How open are you?
Yeah.
And that is this whole thing with the emotions,
Mhm.
because we obviously know, regardless of what the story we follow is, or the narrative we're most comfortable with, or whatever our life story was, that our emotions were unbridled. Our emotions could very quite possibly be the superpower of the human being,
Yeah.
because it is an energetic force. And we know that through anger, through sadness, prolonged, through so many different things. But as we have kind of evolved, I kind of see it and feel it and know it for myself as an alchemy. So now we're becoming conscious beings, conscious creators, conscious living, and we're incorporating that, embodying that, literally from choice point to choice point as we go through the day. You know what I mean? And so these emotions now, to me, feel like, and you're an artist, so you would understand, like we all channel. So like tapping into the one and expressing it. So it's the inspiration and expression all in one motion,
Mhm.
and not just as an artistic production or a song or whatever, but as life is art itself, right?
Yeah.
So I really feel like the emotions is this is the new territory. What happened? We've all written something, when we were in the dark night of the soul, and we've shown that part of it.
Yeah.
We've identified with it. We've owned that part of the dark. You say the denser part of the human journey. But what about the inspiration? What about the fact that all these crazy people were hanging out at a place called Soulogy, and crazy ain't crazy no more? What about what we can do when we're in control of our emotions? So yeah, I think this is our tech.
Yeah. Yeah. Emotional intelligence is definitely a superpower. And a lot of people nowadays talk about shadow work, and I believe that there's sometimes a misconception that shadow work is like these bad parts of ourselves, or like evil parts of ourselves, or something like that. But my belief is that the shadow is the parts of ourselves that we've like cut off from the whole, that we've had shame around, or fear, or guilt. And so to reclaim our sense of wholeness, we have to, welcome that anger in a healthy way, and let it flow through us, because the famous saying, what you resist persists. If you never let out any anger, then it's going to come out sideways when you don't want it to. But if you have a safe container for it and you welcome it, because anger can be a powerful thing of saying like, no, I'm done with this certain thing, and I'm going to set a strong boundary and to go this direction. But it's like, if you don't ever let yourself get angry at the thing that feels out of alignment, then you might keep doing the thing. So I've used anger many times to help me to get on a new path with certain things. You kind of hit that breaking point and you're like, fuck this, I'm done with that habit or that thing. So I think that all the emotions are beautiful, and we really have tied ourselves up in knots by, rejecting certain parts of ourselves. And as you said before, our bodies are extremely intelligent. I believe that our bodies are always seeking homeostasis and have the capacity to be in homeostasis if we don't screw it up with our, our evolved brains that many creatures don't have.
Yeah, when we have our intellect superseding our intelligence.
Exactly. Like, we're pretty much one of the only creatures that can override our instincts. Yeah. And that has benefits, but it can also screw us up. And so I think really the key is, balancing the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual as one harmonious system.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And all the information is stored in our body. That's our Akashic. And like our Akashic, if you looked at, let's just say, the internal universe that we hold within ourselves, all our soul lineage, human lineage, whatever, it's still coding. Mm-hmm. It's just coding that because of our experience in these incarnations, we don't want to take a look at. And I think you bring up a great point, because it's so multi-layered. Yeah. So you have, let's take anger. Yeah. All right. First of all, you have a situation, and your anger, or my anger, whatever, becomes the player. Mm-hmm. And this is before the turn, right? Now I want to get as far away from this anger as possible. Once I cool off and say, God, I can't believe I did that. Like the self-judgment. Yeah. There's probably 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 people associated with the situation or the episode that brought on the anger for me. So now I've put them out there because I'm not like them. Yeah. I'm superior to them. They're assholes. Yeah. And then it can go on and on and on. Right. Yeah. But ultimately, I think what people are coming back to, what you're describing and what you help people do is, and so many energy practitioners is to bring them back. Yeah. And really, I think there's been a lot of shadow work done. I think there's a lot more to do, but I think we've gotten to a certain point at some level as a group, certainly many individuals, where the search for the shadow, not that we have to search for it, because the energy comes and the triggers come or whatever, but it's not such a arduous, long type of episode anymore. They seem to be, if we take responsibility and accountability, we feel it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you don't, I don't want to be angry. No, I'm gonna sit here and feel angry. I'm just gonna feel, I'm not gonna bother anybody, but I'm gonna sit here and cuss at whoever I want and whatever. Yeah. Those moments have become almost like skin, a pinprick. Mm-hmm. Now it's still very but not like it was in 2020, 2019, 2018. I mean, these rhythms are coming in more frequently with more impact, but we're seeming to be handling it better and better and better. And I believe that a lot of it has to do with what you're talking about, with this emotional intelligence quotient moving or ascending, in parallel with everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I resonate with that. And you mentioned before about, the December 2012, and I was really into that whole Mayan calendar. I wasn't sure what was going to happen, if technology, the poles were going to shift or whatever back in 2012. But it is really fascinating if you zoom out on a time scale and you look at, let's just say, 200 years of human civilization. And the Mayans supposedly predicted this thousands of years ago. It is pretty wild that they chose that year, 2012. And, obviously I'm not the only one that matters here, but just me tracking, let's just talk about YouTube. YouTube in 2008, when I first started waking up, there was a few documentaries, Zeitgeist, there was a few things here and there, there was this fairly small community that was into this stuff. And then as 2012 started to ramp up, it massively increased. And since then, it's literally been astronomical. I mean, in the past 10 years, the amount of YouTube channels, podcasts that have started talking about all this stuff, it's just off the freaking charts. So sometimes we get bogged down, we think nothing's changing, but if you really zoom out, the amount of awakening that has happened in the last 15 years is just through the freaking roof. So I think we should all, give ourselves a pat on the back and, and trust that there's something bigger than us happening here. And that the real goal is for each of us to find our optimal part in the ecosystem to keep it growing.
Yeah.
But I really believe that there is a positive future going. And the reason why shit is so still whacked out is because, as in the same thing with the humans, it's like as your vibration raises, all the stuff that isn't at that frequency comes to the surface to be purged. And that's what we keep seeing in mainstream society. So I really believe the key is to pour our energy into building a new earth, building a new paradigm, and not trying to fight this system, which is going to freaking kill itself on its own.
Yeah. Bucky Fuller.
Exactly.
And I think part of what's happening as we've kind of make our way and navigate this new field, because it is a new field. So like you said, if it's happening for an individual, it's happening for the collective. So it is going up, so to speak, and certain things can't remain. But it's a new way. It's a new way of communicating, new relationship, everything's got new rules. Let's just say they're Trinity energetic rules, Trinified rules, as my wife says, as opposed to things that were built with the dualistic components of a polarity.
There you go. Yeah.
And so part of it is this whole letting go. People talk about surrender, and I was saying a couple of years ago, man, this is bigger than surrender. I don't know what the hell it is, but this is called letting go. Part of that letting go is how we think it should turn out, what we think it should look like.
Yeah.
And that's not to say we don't entertain these thoughts, but at the end of the day, when we make our appeal, so to speak, we have to let it go, because we don't know the limit here. We don't know. And really, when we get out there with that, we are moving out of the present. We're now out here in the future, and then it immediately becomes something that we're moving away from. So I think, to me, it's more, I've always liked the fact when I first woke up and I, for some reason, looked at the word faith, because that was the first thing that came to me, the word faith, or one of the first things from, like a aspect. And there's a transitive verb definition that says to trust and believe. And I thought, I didn't even know what a transitive verb was, but it did imply motion. So to me, that's how I kind of see where we're at. It's like, don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about what it's going to look like. Like if you take me as an example, and maybe you'd be a good example. You downloaded specific information that's related to your purpose and your contribution. I'll keep moving in that direction with my relationship, with my different relationships, with Soulogy, but I can't affix to anything that limits it. So it's the actual process, the motion of faith that is actually, I guess you could say, being present in the only thing there is, the eternal moment, right here, right now, as opposed to when I get there, because that's how the whole thing's built. Be nice, you'll go to heaven, right?
Yeah.
So there's always that carrot on the stick. I think the carrot on the stick is no more. We are the carrot on the stick, right? The universe is chasing us, going, slow down. We're like, no, we figured it out now. Let's go. Let's roll.
Yeah. Right on.
So you want to do some you want to do
freestyle?
If you want to. I'm not a great freestylist. I do it with my friend Ty, every Monday.
I'd be down to freestyle. I'd also be down to share a slam poetry piece, or we could do both, whatever's clever. Do you have
you want
have
some
a time frame of when
no. I'm good.
just
We got
blown?
yeah, we can hang out another, 20 minutes, 30
Is it
minutes.
still now 50 now?
Right. Now 50 now. Yeah, I don't know how you want to start this. You want some music? What do you want?
Sure, yeah, you could put on like a beat of some kind, like a
All right.
little percussion.
Like what rate beat per minute? I mean,
I don't really,
okay, that's cool. That's
just
cool.
whatever feels good.
I've got my friend Ty, my brother's stuff here.
Yeah, I listened to some of your flows with him.
Okay. Yeah, he's a beast, man. He's a freaking
Yeah.
musical savant. Okay, where is it? Let me think. It's in here. No, it's not. It's over here. Soulogy music. Hang on. I got it. Here. No, it's Soulogy. Soulogy music. Mute that. Yeah. You're gonna have to mute that.
Okay, yeah. Sorry.
You're good. No, you're fine. Hang on. I got you.
Shout out to everyone
here it
in
is.
the comments. I'm just checking out the comments right here.
Damn nation. I don't know what the hell's going on with me. But maybe it's here. No. I got you. Just un momento.
Okay. Yeah, take your time.
Could be in here. I thought I put it in a different one. Oh, here it is. Okay. So we'll just start with this one. Wait a minute. Let me open it up. Could you hear that? See if you can hear that.
No, I can't hear it yet.
Okay, hang on. Hang on a second. And I need to go over here. I'm going to need to share computer audio, share. You are sharing computer sound. Okay, we're good. All right, so I'm going to go here and I'm going to go here. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I could flow with whatever. So,
all right, this is going to get going a little bit more, but this is the kind of the beat. How's the sound level?
Sounds all right.
All right.
The mantra I like to do freestyle is get out the way, let the universe play. 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 If you're watching at home, you can sing along. Get out the way, let the universe play. Get out the way, let the universe play. Yo, Todd Medina in the house. Through, and we got the things in the mouth. Yo, got these words coming out my mouth. Trying to feel the beat, trying to feel the energy, and we feel the heat. Cause we raising up the vibration from the earth to the sky. That's the high vibration. The beat's
good, man.
Like throwing me off. He seems like he's doing like a jazz vibe or something.
Hang on, I got another one.
All right, let's try one that's more of like a specific rhythmic, you know.
Let's see what this one does.
I got a beat I could throw on too, but if
yeah, go
we
ahead.
can go faster.
If this doesn't work, would you throw the beat down?
Good. Let's play with this. Yo. Out the way, let the universe play, giving thanks and praise every single day. We were having a good conversation about life and death. Every day I'm giving thanks for my life and breath. And my shirt says everything is energy. Thank you, Ty, for the melody. Yeah, if we all got the remedy, everybody has a little key. And you put that in, you can unlock little superpowers, put it on the dock. Yo, we can flow in the boat, doing our thing, and we go around the moat like back in the day. We had a boat around the castle, spinning on the axle. Probably had some crocodiles in the moat. Had to go and couldn't cross unless you had a boat, or you could hop on the crocodiles like they were some lily pads. I'm just sitting from my writing pad that is inside my mind, inside my imagination, tapping into a whole space station, spin around this thing, bring it to a higher vibration. He said, yeah, you got to do the good work and don't be a real jerk. That's why you got emotional intelligence. Everything you do has relevance. And we grounded like some elephants. Got all of the elements. Like we back in some chemistry. Me and him got some chemistry, bouncing back and forth like some tennis feet. Yo, you could call me Serena, or you could call me Venus. Coming through with the Hathor vibes. Yo, Venus is the planet of love, coming down from above, you know. Got peace like a dove. Peace, joy, and love. Shout out to my man Randy Land, holding it down in Peaceburg. He's bringing people together, holding the hands, uniting across all the lands. Yo, Todd, do you want to get out the way and let the mother loving universe play?
I'm not too adept at this. You need to hook up though with my friend Robert Evans. You two would get along great.
Okay.
I don't know. I used to read my stuff with the music, and then my brother Ty is like, dude, you're gonna have to like put the phone up. So
Well,
I don't know. Let me just think.
You just do a freestyle.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see. Test. We find ourselves coming down the promenade apocalyptic. All hail Mother Mystic. She said the veil been lifted now. Every brother, every ex-best friend, every current lover, every father, mother, come on down that promenade. Hang on. Here, I'll do one that I wrote a long time ago, so I don't have to think of this shit.
Get it.
Okay, here we go.
I know you've been podcasting all day, brother, so your mind is not
I'm all right.
Juiced up.
Let's see. A conscious colored energy, a hailing from the other side, alternating currency, a healing frequencies alive, a pleasing demons lost and found, a pains of angels, thorns or crowns, light vessels, white, black, red, yellow, brown. I hear the silent angels coming down. A sovereign sea of soup. Surrender can erase. Clap your heels together. It's the holiest place. Yeah. That's fun. You're up, bro. Unless you want to do the poetry slam thing, that's cool.
I'll just flow for a little bit and then I'll share one third one. So I did say if anyone wants to throw out a word, I'll incorporate it into a freestyle. Just drop it in the Facebook chat. There might be a slight delay, but
I'll throw one out. I'll throw one out for you.
What do you want me to talk about? I like to make up stories, like bizarre stories too.
That's cool. Peace.
Peace. All right. He's got peace. We got timelines. Let's get one more word to incorporate.
peace and timelines, and I'll come in after you
All right.
when you're done. See if I can roll off of you instead of trying to. So
Yeah.
peace and timelines.
All right, here we go. Here we go.
You got it? Go ahead.
Yo. So there once was a 6-year-old girl named Lucy. She was able to see through me. She could see through anyone because she was a being of pure love. She came from a different dimension, came down for the reverse ascension. She came down to earth and she was like, I'm gonna help make peace on earth. So she went to everyone that was a jerk and she gave him a hug to spread the love. And eventually all these people started to warm up. Their hearts started to melt. Everything went down. All their pain and sorrow went underground and they started to spread the peace. She went to all of the CEOs. They were moving like C3PO. They were just moving like some robot. But Lucy came along and she had some talks. She gave them some crystal rocks and she stuck them into their socks. So when the CEOs went into the meetings, their ankles were just radiating crystal energy and everyone could feel a different shift. Everyone was on a different frequency in that whole meeting and they were like, yo, instead of going to war with Russia, what if we put $53 trillion into spreading peace on earth and every single city in the world is gonna have healing centers and Reiki on the sidewalk and we're gonna be dishing out meditation cushions on the street and free bicycles with this $53 trillion. So we're going to shift the timeline. And they put Lucy up in the presidential office. She would come through 6 years old. She's the president of the whole universe now. And she's just speaking things about the Tao. She's handing out copies of the power of now and the power of wow. She's telling people to stop taking life so serious and just stop being delirious. You got to spread some love, spread some peace, spread some joy. Stop doing all that shit that you're not supposed to do. Because if we could build skyscrapers and all kinds of crazy shit, we could have peace on earth in the blink of an eye. All we need to do is put people like Lucy and team them up with the Most High, and we bring it to the most low, build some gardens in every single locale, attitude, everybody on a peaceful attitude, about to throw it back to the raddest dude.
Yeah, we're talking about peace. We will increase the peace of the cool, still waters of the soul. As the song runs out, that bailed me out. Yeah, I could think of a lot of words for that. You know, enlightenment, bliss, peace, joy. I don't know. But yeah, they get enough of me anyway. They need to hear you. What about your poetry?
Well, we saved the world, y'all. All we got to do is be like 6-year-old Lucy and spread the love.
That's right, bro.
So
That's
yeah,
exactly right.
I would love to share my poem from my book called Journey of Awakening. This is the Dr. Seuss type of book that
Okay.
that she mentioned.
Okay.
I have it memorized, so I'll just speak it out. But this one I actually wrote way back in 2010, and as I biked across America, I was sharing it at different open mics and stuff.
Cool.
And it's a pretty magical piece. So it's just an a cappella piece. So we don't have to have music.
Right on.
But yeah, let's all just take a few breaths together. I want to take a breath, so I'll invite y'all to take a few breaths. Yeah, let's all. Oh, whoops, my thing is unmuted. Let me exit out of there. Breath, so I'll invite y'all to take a few breaths. Yeah, let's all. Oh, whoops,
You're
spreading parallel timelines are merging. All right, so yeah, let's just take a few breaths together. I'm gonna invite y'all tuning in either now or in the future. Let's just do 3 deep breaths, inhaling, rolling the shoulders up. Exhaling with a sigh. Inhaling, rolling the shoulders up. Exhaling with a sigh. This time on the exhale, I invite you to wiggle your body if that feels good. So inhaling up. Exhaling down. Yo, can you sense something strange? Like we're living amidst a big change? Not a change to a new form of rocket ships. What's becoming more obvious is we need a change in consciousness. I'm talking change as we remove splinters from our brains, as we identify the sources of our pains, as we release these invisible chains. See, this culture's filled with information, but never wisdom. Little kids sitting glued to the television, getting locked into a mental prison. TV creating hella victims, inflicting tunnel vision and programming our decisions. Clicking off is the mission. See, what if I don't conform and form a swarm of brainstorms to break all the norms? My life's been a roller coaster ride through space and time. I wasn't facing time, but I let demons infiltrate my mind. Living life centered around wasted time until I woke up, said I ain't wasting mine. Metaphorical scoliosis, now I've got a straightened spine. But then I felt searing pain. The world's wounds have no covering. Oceans gasping for air while civilization is smothering. Meanwhile, Gaia is trying to do some mothering. Confused kids, we just pollute her with another thing. See, we live in a world of paradox. Kenyan kids yearn for a pair of socks, while Americans anxiously stare at clocks, wasting our entire lives away until we open up our eyes and say, I'm taking off this blindfold, revealing my divine soul and changing up my mind's mold. But we're up against the machine's invincible wrath, tough to keep the torch lit on the invisible path. You may get lost in the darkness of despair, seeing no way out of that devilish lair. But deep in your heart, there remains an ember. Synchronistic deja vu helps you remember that a more beautiful world is possible, even amongst monstrous obstacles. All it takes is a new pair of perceptual spectacles to see that life is ineffably incredible, unforgettably majestical, because butterflies and caterpillars' DNA is identical. And the universe will help you unleash your potential. A change in beliefs is all that's essential. See, the world we live in is infinitely intricate. Just gotta find your niche amidst the symphony of instruments. And it's the space in between that gives life to the dream. If you keep your eyes keen, then you'll see what I mean. Beyond pessimist, optimist dichotomies are practical transition town philosophies towards a world with less PCBs and a lot of trees based on reciprocities. Converging revolutions, there are lots of these sprouting up like poppy seeds at increasing velocities. And once your ego deflates, you become humbled and grounded. Realize the universe has us surrounded. Feeling interconnected, you're bound to be astounded. But separation's been ingrained in us. No culture's as insane as us. Thinking we're invincible, we've snorted too much angel dust. To break this vicious cycle, we gotta live spontaneous. And these are just pieces to a thesis on top of exotic hypnagogic logic. And essentially the conclusion is that separation is an illusion. No species deemed exclusion from deleterious pollution. So you may ask who, what, where, when, how, but we're the ones we've been waiting for. The transition is now.
Boom. Boom. Very cool. You wrote that in 2010?
I did, yeah. That was to weave together all the things I was learning about. I wanted to kind of encapsulate it into one thing that I could just drop at an open mic or around a campfire. And so that's what I've been doing for a while.
The open mics are cool.
Yeah.
I did some in Philly. When I first ones I did were in Philly. They were cool. Here I got one that came up on my memories yesterday.
Yeah, please do.
I never really let's see. This one I call them Soul Speaks.
Yeah.
This one's called One Heart, Soul, Voice, and Mind. Let's see. Waking up, I'm going to do my best. I know this life is not a test, so much unrest, integrating revelations, codes exchanging, lives rearranging, spent so much time explaining, complicating a profound simplicity. Gotta love life's mysteries, journey of the unknown, never alone. Beam me up and take me home. Wait a minute, what's that? It's raining colors, beats, and tones. Can you feel the new frequency? We didn't come here for nothing, rolling the dice on physical divinity, a new affinity for the new human being. Tell me your dreams and I will tell you mine. It's a new day, a new me, a new you. We made a choice, the chosen few. Follow the truth, whatever you do. Lovers never lose the sacred heart. Brothers, it's a brand new start. Mother always bursts a shining star. We've come so far. I know we're tired. But can you feel this new DNA fire? We can heal, feel the heavenly high. Faith creates what love inspires. So let's conceive the dreams, give and receive till the human heart bleeds the goddess's tears of the new earth serendipity. It's a splendid dance, a fairy tale's romance. Luck don't have a chance. This is our destiny. It's not make-believe. It's the real thing. Watch what love can bring. When the walls come down, hear the silent angels sing. Fear and distortion are gone, so clear the cobwebs from our dreams. Years and lifetimes of karma's cleaned. Love is what life is meant to conceive. Living's what love's always wanted to be. Another chance to redeem responsibly. Things are not what they have seemed. Therein lies the wisdom of soul. From this heart we break free. Love's birthing sovereignty. Love's wisdom's eternally, forever. And forever's the spirit science seed. May our spirits blend a symphony. May our higher selves inhuman be. One heart, one soul, one voice, one mind. May our darkness and our light synthesize. May our sparks from life's spheres rise to one heart, one soul, one voice, one mind. Yeah.
Let's go. I love it.
Dude, we'll have to, you're in Pittsburgh, huh? You're in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got an awesome conscious community here.
Really?
That's been one of my roles over the last 12 years is to help gather people. And so we've got a lot of awesome events and gatherings here. So if any of you watching are in the general Pittsburgh area, or if you just want to reach out, I love to connect with new people and help to weave the web. This is one of the shirts I make, and I believe we all have a little point on this big, web, and we're all, weaving the web stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
And that's one of my missions, is to help grow the conscious tribe.
Well, we were talking about that earlier, and we talk about it from time to time on the show over the years, how most of these connections are virtual in our virtual world, which is still a powerful thing. It's a very powerful thing.
Yeah.
It's been a big part. You said when the internet blew up, it's about when 2012 happened.
Totally.
So it became totally different at that point. Really, when you think about it, at the speed that we learned prior to the internet exploding on or about 2012, we learned at a slower and slower rate, took in less and less information as time went on. And that was changed for all ages that utilized, as my wife calls it, the highest physical manifestation of the ethers, the internet. I'd love to get together with you again later in the year. And because what I was getting at is that what we talk about sometimes is that we have those connections. We don't really have them in the communities. They're starting to show. And so that'd be an interesting topic to tap into next time we get together.
Yeah,
and,
I would love that.
Man, I just want to thank you for your time and sharing space with us, honoring us with your presence, and also thank you for the work you're doing on behalf of humanity. And all blessings to you and yours.
Thank you, brother. I was just going to ask maybe if anyone had any questions in the comments. I saw some people tuning in live. if you're open to that. If you don't have to go, if you need to go, that's totally fine. Or maybe they could ask a question and I could message them later or something.
Yeah, you can do that. No, I'm done. I'm toast. 3 shows. I'm done. And I
Okay.
might have another one tonight. So yeah, but yeah, you're on Facebook, Kevin.
I am
May?
on Facebook. So yeah,
Yeah,
Kevin May is my Facebook. On Instagram, it's Kevin May 222. And that's the same on YouTube. If you just search Kevin May 222.
yeah.
That
Cool.
will,
Yeah, you might want to go to my page in Facebook and then Soldier One Studios on YouTube and put your links in, because
okay.
yeah, and check the comments, because the people ask that stuff all the time. I'm not good at all that.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
put a heart on their comment and I keep going and thank
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
But
Totally.
yeah, it's a pleasure, man. And
Likewise, and thank you for holding it down. I've been following you for probably 5 years on here and just really admire the work that you and your crew is doing. So thank you.
right on, man. I appreciate you. All right, everybody. See you a little bit later. Take care.